Hey everybody, it's been a while and welcome back to Obscurities and Miniatures on a Friday morning, which means we've got another obscurity in literature. Hopefully my phone on the camera will cooperate long enough to actually film this, but I've got a book that I'm shocked I never got around to actually talking about yet, and that's Simon Stalenhag's Tales from the Loop. Now there's been a lot done with this property, and I had planned on originally doing a video on this back when I did Rosalski's Howling at the Moon, which was a while ago, but it seemed to have slipped my mind. I do have the other subsequent books like Things from the Flood, but we can save that for another day. This book in particular is just, it's a unique look, and I think as somebody that grew up at a time when a lot of these stories in this book, and yes, it's an art book, but there is stories to it, when a lot of this would have been, prevalent. I can relate to it. It really does resonate with me, and it does give that vibe of growing up. Obviously, I did not grow up in Sweden, up in this area, but that would have been nice, I guess. No. So we have the main area here. This is where the story is going to be taking place, and I remember getting this around the time the original series, the first series of Stranger Things was on TV, and really was kind of cool going through this and watching that. It gave off a very similar vibe, especially with the whole kids on bike thing going on. But yeah, so the concept is there's this big underground base and they're doing all kinds of funky experiments, and as the book progresses you have the author go from childhood into adolescence and a lot of the things changing as well as the environment changing. And I didn't know that at first. I was familiar with just a lot of the art. I remember seeing the RPG when it was on Kickstarter. And I'll be honest, I have always been interested in checking it out still. Just the whole concept of it, because there's just all sorts of neat stuff that's going on here. And a lot of the pictures do kind of tie in with the text. And a lot like Rosalski's stuff, you have a lot of just these images of everyday life. Obviously, while it is a bit more modern and recent than a lot of what Rosalski's, kind of 1920s, turn of the century Eastern Europe look has. We have a much more modern, Northern European, Swedish style going on here, but again with these absolutely out of place looking things. And I love reading the text. This is available in English. I don't know about any other languages other than Swedish, but it's just kind of cool reading the background info on a lot of this stuff. One of these days I probably will get around to actually watching the show. We do have Amazon Prime. I just have not bothered. But on the other hand, it's like, to me, I think with a book like this, it's best to just enjoy it on its own as an art book before you start delving into the actual text. Magnetrine discs. There's a bunch of that stuff in here. Because I think as you start to read through the text, I mean, it's neat to see it, and there's like all these like little found documents and stuff, and I'm not going to show off every page. We don't want to spoil everything, give you something to look forward to. These are the cars that work on the loop. You can see them on this page. Again, maybe this is why it reminds me of, again, I keep going back to Rosalski stuff, but again, I think it's just the scenic, pastoral, European countryside with just absolutely out-of-place stuff. Like dinosaurs. Oh yes, dinosaurs feature quite heavily with the stories of the loop, and they are absolutely beautiful creatures in this with just really interesting color patterns. I think one of my favorite pieces, if I can find it, It's not bad. That's it. The big theropod staring down the ice cream truck. And they're spattered all throughout this. And again, to me, this is the kind of stuff that really gets the imagination going. I really enjoy these kinds of books. Almost as much as I love flipping through monster manuals and just, design workbooks. And there's a bit of an ongoing story, if you're curious about that. I'm just jumping whole swaths of the book here. We do see a bit of stuff going on in other areas. I believe this is when I get to the US. It's been a while since I read it. The cybernetic bison boar. Some of the various androids that are laying around the loop. The extinction of the dinosaurs, which coincidentally seems to be timed around the time that everybody grows up in the story. It's definitely a neat one to flip through. I'll be honest, I haven't read, well, I probably have read most of the stuff in here. I have not read Tales from, Things from the Flood. This is the Tales. One of these days we will. It seems like since we've got some holidays coming up, we'll actually have some time to sit down and read a book. What a novel concept. Free time, sitting, reading. Yeah, I know. It seems like just a crazy afterthought for most of us. But being it is what it is, I do hope to catch up on some of that before the year is done. So, cool little book. Definitely, I think if you enjoy the retro 80s aesthetic, especially with the Swedish Scandinavian style, interspersed with all kinds of mecha and out of context machinery and objects. There's some cool stuff here. Definitely a fun one to flip through. And its sister book, The Things from the Flood, is just as neat. My favorite part being the vagabonds, but we'll talk about that another day. So I'll put a link down below to Amazon if you guys are curious to track one of these down. It should still be in print. I say that now. I hopefully don't have to eat those words with ridiculous prices like I've seen on the Tsuburaya Eiji book that I put up here and some of the other stuff. But yeah, hopefully this is your kind of thing. Do check it out. And if you've gotten a chance to see the Amazon show, give me your recommendations, thoughts on it down below. I have not gotten to it. Should I even bother? Yes or no? I would love to hear from you guys. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.